the part of a DC machine, okay, construction wise, it will have one peripheral part called as yoke, okay, peripheral part called as yoke, and it will have a winding. In order to get the magnetic field, there are field windings, okay, the windings are called as field windings. Here, for your understanding, only two windings were shown, but in case of in realistic thing, there are multiple windings like this, okay. And you have a rotating component called as armature. You have a rotating component called as armature, and the conductors that are kept in the armature are called as armature winding or armature conductors, okay, armature winding and armature conductors, right. And you have brushes to supply power or to obtain power from the armature, which is the rotating component. Those are called as brushes. Generally these brushes are made out of carbon, okay, these brushes are made out of carbon, right. And these brushes are mostly having both positive pickup and negative pickup. Generally these brushes, along with one more device called as commutator, okay, commutator, responsible for conversion of AC to DC. In a DC machine, definitely you should require, because the induced EMF will be varying, okay, it will be varying EMF. That's the reason you require something called as commutator in order to convert AC to DC. And the peripheral part, for supporting this armature, there will be a shaft. On either ends of the shaft there are bearings. Since it is rotating, you should minimize the friction, and hence there are certain bearings, okay. So coming to DC generator, somebody has been already discussed. We have an input to the DC machine, which is a mechanical input. It should be capable of rotating the armature, okay, armature, it has to be rotated. So it should require some torque and angular velocity, okay, torque, which is Tm, and angular velocity omega, okay, which is equal to 2 pi r, or 2 pi into the number of rotations that you make. So whenever this is rotating, according to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, what happens? The flux that is exerted by the field coils will be induced into the armature coils, causing an EMF, okay, an EMF. This EMF is directly proportional to number of coils in the armature, okay, then rate of change of flux, then magnetic lines of force, okay, or magnetic flux itself, then thickness of conductor, okay, and there are some more factors associated with the armature. So the input for generator is a mechanical energy, and this mechanical energy will rotate, causing the flux lines being cut by the armature windings, which will vary, okay. So for picking up this potentials, okay, there will be commutators on both the ends, okay, or on the periphery you will have commutators. Commutators will convert AC, which is induced, into equivalent DC or pulsated supply. This supply is picked up by two carbon brushes or multiple carbon brushes, okay, on either ends of the commutator, and it will be supplied to your electrical load. Similarly, when it comes to motor, okay, exactly the reverse of this thing will happen, okay, exactly the reverse of this thing. Whenever there is a voltage that is supplied to this particular armature windings, what happens? Because of the interaction between the flux that is being generated by the field coils, which is these things, similarly, and the flux which is generated by induced voltage, okay, you have another flux. Because of interaction between these two fluxes, it will tend to rotate, okay, it will tend to rotate according to Fleming's left hand rule. This is according to right hand rule, this will function, and the fundamental principle is electromagnetic induction, Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. At the same time, this will also work with Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, but here it will convert electrical energy into its equivalent mechanical energy. Okay, it will also produce some torque or the load. Okay, and it will have some parameter called as omega, which is angular velocity. Okay, so this continuous rotation is possible if and only if there is a continuous magnetic lines of force. So you have to excite field coils, you have to excite armature coils. Here you have to excite field coils, but you will get the output from the armature coils. You need not to excite the armature coils. So armature coils are rotating part, field coils are fixed part. Look at this. Electrical machines can be classified into DC machines and AC machines, but according to this chapter we will be discussing only upon the DC machines. Okay, so DC machine is being shown, the construction part is shown here. So it has a yoke, it has field coils or field windings, armature windings, okay, then brushes, commutators, and you have a final assembly for the shaft to hold the whole armature. Okay, so there will be a minute gap in between field and armature coils. In this gap only your magnetic lines of force will travel. Okay, so field windings are excited in case of this DC machines. Field windings, okay, are excited from an external source. Field windings are excited from external source. Then the polarity of magnetic field will depend upon the direction of the field of current. It is already been shown. Okay, the polarity will depends upon the direction. If you are rotating in clockwise, you have positives and negatives of the brushes here. If you are rotating this side, you have positives and negatives on the counterpart, right? Okay, so the armature carries some conductors in the slots. Okay, two brushes are placed at the right angles to the main field coils. To the main field coils, you have two brushes that are kept at right angles. Okay, so these brushes are stationary, they won't move. Okay, but armature is free to rotate. This is possible with the shaft, and this shaft is supported by two bearings. So the side view will look something like this. You have a shaft, a long shaft. That is what you see in mostly the DC generators and DC motors. On top of this shaft you have armature. This shaft is supported by two bearings. Okay, these are called as roller bearings or ball bearings. Any type of bearings will be there. On above this you have the field coils. Okay, this is how the side sectional view would look like. In the upcoming slides you can clearly visualize. So the armature is rotated in the magnetic field and EMF will be induced in the armature conductors. The direction of induced EMF can be found by applying Fleming's right hand rule. The direction of EMF by the Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, so the direction of induced EMF will depend upon the direction of rotation of armature. If you are getting on two carbon brushes as shown here, you have two carbon brushes that are kept here. If it is rotated in clockwise, you will get positive, negative. If you are rotating in counterclockwise, you have negative and positive. So the polarity will change depending upon the rotation only. Okay, the polarity will change based on the rotation. So here the polarity of field coils, okay, is kept unchanged. That means in field coils you have these field coils, right? So the polarity of this thing is being connected externally. You have external supply. Okay, so this will be unchanged. It won't change, because unless and until you change the power supply, the polarity of these two things will not change. Okay, so whenever the load is connected across armature terminals, the current will flow through the armature circuit, just like that is shown here. Okay, when you connect an armature with an external load, the current will flow from positive to negative or negative to positive, depending upon the type of load you connect. Okay, So the direction of current will be as same as that of induced EMF. Okay, you have induced EMF, the armature will be now considered as an electromagnet, and its polarity is shown in that figure, whichever I have shown you in the very first thing. The electromagnetic torque, okay, will be developed in the anti-clockwise direction as shown in the figure. So the electromagnetic torque TE, okay, TE will be exactly opposite to the torque that is generated by the thing, okay, by the mechanical input. Okay, mechanical input will provide some torque. Okay, so this electromagnetic torque will be exactly opposite to that mechanical torque. That is what mentioned here. So the magnitude of electromagnetic torque will depend upon the strength of the field poles. If your field coils are having more strength, the torque that is generated will be more. Okay, so it will further depends upon the current flowing from the respective windings, the current that is flowing in the respective windings of the field coils. You have armature here, okay, you have field coils on both the sides, which is N and S. If more current is flowing through this, because it has been connected by an external supply, right, it is basically a magnet, electromagnet. So this magnet will produce phi, this phi will be induced into the armature, this armature will be connected to your load. Okay, this is what that has been told in the very first slide, right? So as the external load on the generator is increased, the magnitude of the electromagnetic torque also will increase. If the load is more resistive in nature, the more will be the force, that is TE, that is generated. That means opposing force will be more, right? So the electromagnetic torque depends upon the opposite direction. Okay, it depends upon the magnetic lines of flux, and it is exactly opposite to the direction of the mechanical torque. More torque you apply, okay, the more will be produced. Okay, so that is the reason the more torque will be required through the prime mover. Prime mover means the one which is connected with your DC generator. This is called as a prime mover, PM. Okay, so the more you generate, the more will be the torque that is required. Okay, so the direction of currents in the upper conductors of the armature are indicated by dots, and the conductors in the lower half of the armature are represented by cross. You can have a look of this figure. Okay, in the generator you can see dots will be first half. Okay, when it is rotating in the first half, in the second half you will have a negative polarity, right? That is the reason, in order to understand both, it has been represented by dots and crosses.